Good evening, I'm Bryce McLeay, and welcome to Outside the House, the unofficial Big Brother after show. This week, we saw one star dim while others beam brighter as a major target is sent packing. The outgoing HOH Tyler did what he thought was best for his game, but is he actually doing someone else's bidding? We'll find out soon enough. But first, let's eavesdrop on the Outside the House team. You guys, Rachel is off tonight, but she will be back next week. But here tonight, from inside his own home, say hello to our producer, Mark. Mark, you have to turn on your camera.
I'm just really distraught right now.
Oh my god!
I'm just really.
Oh my god!
I'll be okay.
Are you supposed to be Caitlin?
I don't know who I am right now.
Are you channeling your relative Caitlin Herman?
Yeah.
Or no, who was that? Who was the Vanessa? She was also very much. She was also very much like in like blankets and stuff constantly too.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you, Mark.
Great.
Are you distraught actually, or?
I am. I was really hoping Janelle would stick around a bit. You know. They did her dirty, man.
All right, but we'll get to that in a second. But before we get started, I just want to remind everybody to please subscribe to our YouTube channel, which most of you are on right now, and be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss your chance to take part in our live episodes and see your comments live on air. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, so if you'd rather listen than watch, just open Spotify or Apple Podcasts and search Outside the House. Then click the subscribe button, and please rate and review us. Finally, follow us on socials at From Outside the House on Instagram and at Outside BB House on Twitter. All right. Our guest tonight is a Big Brother superfan and my coworker at the Kelly Clarkson Show. Please welcome Bobby Wisnan. How are you, Bobby?
Hi. Welcome.
Hi. I believe the house guest you were thinking about was Audrey.
Audrey, yes.
Who was in the blanket and the sunglasses and had a whole situation.
Like it was, I was thinking about the other day when I was, maybe I was just watching the feeds, but people were whispering and they were in the bed was all like messed up in the room that they were in. And I was like, why isn't anyone, I feel like for All Stars, they wouldn't do that, but why isn't anyone hiding in that bed? Like you could
Survivor, but that's a different show.
Yeah, exactly. But you could easily be just hidden in there and like learn a ton of stuff. That's happened before though. Didn't that happen? That happened a couple seasons ago where
I think there was a space behind the HOH bed people were hiding in.
Yeah. Where somebody heard something and they were like, yeah, that was maybe that was season. I don't know.
Wait, was that 20?
James. I remember James hearing some things outside that side room before him running down the hallway.
Yes. He'd always like be standing there.
Exactly.
Always be standing there. Okay, you guys, let's just get right to it. We saw tonight by a vote of 9-2, Janelle was evicted from the Big Brother house. I want to know Bobby, how are you holding up?
You know, I have a drink waiting for me. The issue is that just like Julie, all of us were very, very like, oh my God. When Danny, voted for Kaser to go, we were like, hold up. Is this boat flipping and no one told us?
Texted Bryce.
Everything, right? No one told us like that the boat was flipping. Hello. So we're like, it gave me a sense of false hope. So
right.
Hold up. Like we actually might be doing something here. And then, it went downhill from there.
I will say Mark texted me and said, what is happening? And I was like out of my mind already trying to get ready for this show. And I was watching, I was like, if this happens, like the whole show that I've prepared is screwed because it was all based on Janelle going home. Mark, What did you think?
I'm still distraught. No, I don't know. I think they definitely didn't have a really good option there. I mean, once that veto wasn't used, it was her or nothing. And I think she made a really good case to stay. And I think Tyler kind of realized it. I mean, that may have just been, some DR talk of like, oh, well, maybe she would have been good if you kept her and, kind of leading one way or the other. But I think he may have some genuine regret there. And especially with David, the scholar of Big Brother, really kind of blowing up the game there. Just,
Well, let's get to that in a second, but let me just ask you guys this. Do you think that going back to Danny really quickly, see, I was under the impression that she had already she had planted this before, like on the live feeds. I'm pretty sure she had told people that she was going to do this to try to pin it on Day or Bay. But I mean, yes, I agree. I think it was like such a shock. Like, why did she, I mean, I guess we'll have to see if it worked out, but I was very surprised by that. And I'm sure that Janelle probably feels like, at least at this point, before she goes back and watches it, she's like, oh yeah, Danny was totally on my side, knowing now once she gets back, she'll realize that Danny was just as bad. I mean, she was even worse because she was going behind Janelle's back, where at least Nicole Franzel was in front of her face. But
yeah, Nicole is in the Mean Girls sequel at this point. So like, you're not coming to my wedding, FYI.
Oh
yeah.
My God.
Well, the other thing with that, at least, so Nicole, at least last night, there was all this talk on the feeds about how mean Nicole's goodbye message was, and how she said, you're not invited to my wedding. She had to have refilmed it, because there was a conversation between Danny, Cody, and Nicole, and Danny was like, Cody, did you hear about Nicole's goodbye message to Janelle? And he was like, no. So she explained it, and she was like, Janelle, I had fully intended on working with you, but you're not invited to my wedding anymore. So it was much harsher than like when it actually came out. So I'm sure that she probably, because they kind of made her feel bad for it. Dan was like, you were supposed to start with a compliment. I told you to start with a compliment, and a compliment is not working with you. Like,
exactly.
So
she's at the point where she didn't care anymore.
Right. Right. I mean, I think that it was probably good that she did, she did like squat. But what do you think of that beef, Bobby? What did you think of all that?
It seemed very strange to me. I feel as though I honestly think Nicole is just threatened by Janelle and like who she is and how she plays the game.
Yeah.
And Nicole plays the game very much like, all right, well, I don't really know what's going on.
I'm just like so confused.
Friends, like, we're all just hanging out here for the summer, guys. I was like, okay, well, I'm here to win some money. This is my alliance. What are you doing? Let's get this together. It's just a much more aggressive, streamlined game than Nicole, who is going to hang around into the middle of the summer and then start winning stuff.
Yeah, right, for sure. Mark, where do you think Janelle went wrong, like in her game?
I don't know. I think she played a really good game, and her main thing was trusting Memphis. I mean, he kind of went back on the deal that they had before. He was really always wishy-washy with her from what I saw. Saying, I'll try. And then he obviously threw the safety suite, and she should have known at that point, like, maybe don't give him info. But I feel like at that point, she'd already blown up his own alliance to him. Yeah. So really, I don't think she could have done anything differently. I mean, aside from not blow up Memphis's own alliance to him, but she had no way of knowing that. Bobby,
what do you think? Do you think she played a good game, or?
I think she played a solid game. I think that once they got safety suite and they were safe, they went to Cheesecake Factory and had drinks and everything while everyone else was waiting outside to get in. And it's like, yeah, you're safe now, but you're supposed to be thinking next week and the week after and the week after. And as me being safe, that actually is going to push me to let me actually go talk to people. Let's see what's going on. Let me make connections with this person, because right now I literally have nothing to lose because I know I'm going to be here and I can't go home. And I feel as though they were like, oh, we're safe. Whew, good, great. Okay. What are you going to do the rest of the week? You're safe, but remember, these people didn't want you to be safe. That's what you have to be working on. And I think that they took that for granted.
I think that's a really good point. I feel like for me, I think Janelle and Kaser were unfortunately dead in the water after, let's say, the first week. I know that Rachel on our show last week, Bobby, mentioned that Apparently that rubbed people the wrong way, that Janelle was like really listening a lot, and she wasn't really giving a lot of information away, which is probably, I mean, that was clearly strategy. But I mean, I also think that probably was a factor, but I also feel like she's whip smart, and she quickly figured out that there were 4 people controlling the house, which was Danny, Nicole Franzel, Cody, and Tyler. And when she mentioned that to Memphis, I think that was kind of the biggest red flag. Because again, Mark, you said she trusted Memphis, and I think that was a big issue because but I also don't think she was able to identify the complicated web that alliance weaved within the house, like with Bay and Day and Enzo and
14 people at this
all those people. Like, I think that was incredibly problematic for them, not to mention like that Memphis was on the other side of that alliance, and Ian's kind of on the fringe, like with Franzel and Danny, I think, or whatever. But I just think that, like, I don't obviously feel like Janelle is the queen of Big Brother, and I can't possibly tell her what to do. But I just said I would have just thought that she probably shouldn't have had, looking back, so much animosity toward Cody when he won. I know that he was being like shady for sure, but I think Janelle and Kaser might have. Well, maybe not. And this is just a hypothesis, but I think that maybe they might have, or at least Janelle did, reacted a little too quickly to him.
But they were also right, though.
They were right. No, they were absolutely right. And so you can really, I mean, you can say coulda, woulda, shoulda all the way, all day long. But I just felt like if she would have just sort of like, okay, I'm going to put this in my pocket and just like kept it cool, and also been a little bit more open to people, not to say anything. I mean, people were clearly targeting her from the very beginning, so it's not like she had a choice. But it's just unfortunate that people weren't willing to like work with her, and that they thought of her as like a loose cannon instead of like a comp beast and everything. But I even in the case of Nicole Franzel, like, I almost think that if she walked into that house knowing that she didn't really like Nicole in the first place, it could have been strategy to align with her sort of fakely and then take her down from the inside if she had any sort of like wherewithal or whatever to think that. So well, so it's I mean, it's hard to say. Like, you can't, there's really nothing that you can do about it. Like, Janelle can't do anything about it now. I did think that, in her interview with Julie, she was very, she wasn't, upset really. She wasn't, aggressively angry toward anybody in particular. She figured out who voted for her. Yeah. But do you think that she was surprised by the fact that, like, her initial people that she thought voted for her, which were Bay and Day, were you surprised that they didn't vote for her?
Well, you remember what she said at the end, which I thought was a little bit of shade, when in reference to Davon, Bailey, and Kevin, and Janelle says, "Well, I figured out what type of game they play, so yeah." So I don't think she was surprised. She knew that they weren't going to make any waves because she had already tried to, and she couldn't get them to do that.
That's funny that you thought that it was shade. I did not take it at all that way.
I thought it was being very shady.
I need to go watch it again. I got to go watch it again and see.
I was like, okay, but it was very much like, well, I know what type of game they're playing, so I'm not surprised.
Speaking of, I love that Julie's like really, I mean, she's so praising the I mean, it's clear that she really likes these people when they come out, and she's really like supportive. I think that's got to feel good for those house guests, because like otherwise it's just, I mean, I just feel like, especially during this time of, pandemic and quarantine and everything, people all need a pick me up. So I think it's awesome that she's been so like supportive of everybody. Why do you guys think Janelle was, not to like, have jealousy and live rent free in my mind, but like, why do you think Janelle is a bigger threat than Kaser? Bobby.
I don't know.
Or do you think so?
What do I think in actuality, or do I think that they feel that way?
Well, either one. I mean, let's start with actuality. Do you think that
Janelle doesn't walk on eggshells. Janelle's going to say what Janelle wants to say. she's, you know, she basically, like when she was asking Danny for her vote, you know, and Danny wouldn't give her a straight answer, she wasn't going to leave until she got a straight answer. Like, so are you saying yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so you say maybe no, but is it probably not? Like, you know, Kaser's more like, all right, guys, that's okay. Like, but then he goes to the DR and goes off, and he goes upstairs and he goes and wins comps.
Yeah.
Which, you know, if I was ever in the house, I would probably play more like that. Right. But, you know, Janelle is like, this is me. This is who I am. Like, let's do what we got to do. And I think when you're in a house with a bunch of newer players who don't play like that and see that as like, oh, you're doing too much, they're like, she's playing too aggressively.
We've talked about this on our show too, like Mark, you know, the sort of old school versus new school mentality of Big Brother. And I'm curious, Bobby, what you think about if that's what we're seeing here. Like, are some people, are they playing almost two different games? Like, it does seem like the older players are playing differently than these newer players.
Except Danny and Enzo.
Yeah.
Like, don't sleep on them because they are able to straddle the line because they're giving the illusion that they're chilling and they're not making waves. But Danny is already playing Puppet Master. And look, if you're just watching the edits, it seemed like Danny came out of nowhere. But Danny's behind the scenes playing Puppet Master the entire time. Enzo walked straight up to Cody, on hour 2 and was like, New Jersey, we good, forever, we good, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, so he's just playing around with people, and you know, and anyone who's sleeping on Ian is just ridiculous.
Right.
Ian can not only win comps, but he can fly under the radar in a much more elegant way than someone like Kevin.
Right.
Right. Ian's actually playing a game, and I just, you know, he knows exactly what he's doing, and he has his eyes on the prize, something that I wish that Davon was doing. But.
I know. Well, going back to Danny, like, her dad, Evil Dick, quote tweeted a response agreeing that Danny getting rid of Janelle was a dumb move because, quote, you're an idiot if you vote someone out of the game who will never put you up on the block and never vote you out. Really bad gameplay. Do you think that? Well, technically she didn't vote her out, so I guess maybe that was the case. But do you think Danny was clearly, you know, as we saw, you know, she said her strategy was to lay low and to plant seeds throughout the house to propel her to the end. So, Mark, do you think that she? Do you think that it was stupid for her to target Janelle?
I mean, in the moment, it's hard for her to tell, really. I think she thought in her mind, I don't know. I think jealousy definitely comes into play because I remember Danny saying like she wants to be the queen now, and or you know, at least that's what the internet's saying. And so I think it may have been a little bit personal and a little less game related. So right. I definitely think, really, you know, going back to, you know, one of the last topics you brought up about Janelle is like, why is she actually a threat? And I think I agree. It's the way she carries herself, and that rubs some people the wrong way. And it makes them miscalculate. And I think Danny definitely miscalculated game-wise.
For sure. I mean, I agree with you. And I think that they're, you know, I think Kaser is for sure more calculated than Janelle in terms of like being like, you know, underneath, pulling, like maybe just trying to fly under the radar. Because like methodical. You said, I mean, both of you guys said it. It's like Janelle, it's sort of what you see is what you get. She is an outward threat for sure, but I think that they should not have targeted. I think they should have gotten rid of Kaser tonight as opposed to Janelle. Not just because I love Janelle, I mean, because I love Kaser too. But the thing is that with Kaser, you know, like he's sneakier, and Janelle, I mean, clearly she was right in her campaign, which, you know, again, going down the line, it's not like she could never win a competition, but like she wasn't winning comps especially when she needed to. She really wasn't playing that great of a social game, to be quite honest. She was very intuitive. That's her biggest strength, that she knows exactly what's going on. But I just kind of feel like they're going to think I think they might regret this down the line. And, hopefully Kaser wins HOH. That would be amazing. And we could see what happens with that.
I'm
So
hoping.
Waiting for
He had 3 balls in right before they faded to black at the end of the show.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go.
Definitely went to the next round.
Do we need to check in real time right now?
Yeah, I think we should.
Can we even check?
Yeah, let's keep an eye on the internet. I mean, it could be. Let's see. I don't. No, it just says HOH competition. Right now. So I want to talk about David because we saw Bobby. Bobby has his hands on his head, on his face. Here's the thing for me with David. I really want to like him, but messing up your own game is one thing. But when you start messing up other people's games, that's a problem. You can, and listen, if he wants to play the fool, honestly, if that were his strategy, no, but I mean, seriously, if that were his strategy going in, if it wasn't intentional, if he was going to play the fool because he's like, I don't know this game. I was on it for 1 week, whatever. That would have been a great strategy moving in because then no one would have thought he was a threat. He could have been like a Victoria or somebody like that. And, but so anyway, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, David lied to Devon about there being an all guys alliance and then went to Tyler and Cody telling them that the votes almost flipped last week because Day was paranoid about an all guys alliance. So, Bobby, what do you think is going to happen? We saw this tonight on the broadcast. Bobby, what do you think is going to be the fallout from this?
Well, I don't know if David has anyone to run to at this point. Tyler and Cody are not going to want to work with him. Devon and Bailey are not going to want to work with him. I don't want to work with him. And it absolutely it is the thing that has driven me crazy watching this season so far because you've had so much time to research. You watched the season you got voted out from. You got sent home from, I should say. So what are you still confused about? And like Bryce said, if you're going to blow up people's games, then do it on purpose.
Right.
Then oh man, yeah.
And do it strategically.
And he's like, they pulled it out of me. No, you sat there on the couch and just said it. I'm starting to question his level of intelligence.
Right. I mean, I wish it were some form of strategy, like I said, but I also want to know, what do you think? You said that none of those people are going to want to work with him, but I feel like they might need to. I mean, maybe not Cody, but I feel like Devon and Bailey. Devon needs to immediately go to Cody and Tyler and say, "Listen, this was,
she does.
This needs to be nipped in the bud because that's going to be detrimental to her game, and she's being put on blast. They already don't trust her, and if they're running the house, unfortunately, she's going to have to do a little bit of groveling. I mean,
especially if you can't win a comp.
Yeah.
I would love to check the internet in 30 minutes and see that Devon won a competition.
Oh, I know. No, that would be incredible. She's never won a competition in the 3 seasons that she's played.
I don't remember her winning anything ever. And but I love her. She plays one of the best social games. As long as she is able to keep people on her side. And I think she knows that because unlike David, she's probably studied her season, studied her gameplay, and she's now realizing that she doesn't have people in her corner on her side. And she knows that is what will kill her game.
Right.
It's interesting that Bailey is playing a better game than Devon right now. And even though they're kind of in an alliance, it seems like Bailey is unaffected by everything going on with her.
Yeah.
Well, do you think so? Going off of that, Bobby, with Bailey, because now the Janelle is gone. I mean, she was clearly close to her. What do you think Bailey's next move should be? I mean, I guess she's in the slick six. Jesus, say that 5 times.
Right, yeah.
Do you think
Well, the thing is, Bailey can win. Bailey could actually win.
Right.
And I believe she's won comps before. Internet don't come for me, but I think maybe.
She would be, if she won HOH, that'd be awesome too.
Yeah, but we could see that easily. We all shook our heads like, yeah, Bailey could win HOH. Bailey needs to go after the people that she knows are not in that alliance. She needs to go to Kaysar. She needs to go to Ian. She needs to be like, what's up, guys? Like, we can't just lay low the entire time. And she needs to find just one little hole in there, just the smallest, tiniest hole, and pull one person, and she can flip the house like that. Yeah. And they will trust her and listen to her quicker than Devon because of all this mess that's going on.
Yeah.
Well, and Mark, what do you think of Devon's game as of recently? Just because we've seen her kind of like be a little paranoid. I mean, sure, paranoia is kind of getting to her. What do you think her move should be, you know, moving forward?
I'm not sure. I definitely get the feeling that she's genuinely exasperated. Like she is trying her hardest to like give David every benefit of the doubt and really like form a solid core group with him in it. And he's refusing to let it happen. And so I think that's kind of making her second guess herself a little bit. And I could see that, you know, going poorly in the future if she's just in her head the whole time. Like, well, why is there something wrong with me? Why won't he, you know, why doesn't he want to work with me? Can I not be trusted? Does Bay really trust me as much as she says she does? Yeah. So I think it could really throw her for a loop. So I think David really is playing a great game unintentionally, maybe unintentional saboteur. I don't know.
He wins HOH or makes some.
Oh my God!
I will agree with you.
Well, I think he's trying to find the immunity idol, and I think once he finds that, he'll feel safe.
What if he wins HOH? What is going to happen?
He won't know what to do.
He won't have a clue. That's what I'm saying. There's like, he will literally be, he's on an island by himself, not Love Island, which is premiering on CB. No, but like,
thanks, Ariel.
It's like, I really, he would have to probably listen to, I mean, he probably obviously listened to Tyler and Cody, unfortunately, but I mean, it is a little crazy how that would be I mean, I don't know. It's just.
Oh, I don't know. Do you think it would even go to his head? You know, like, because Memphis, it went to his head, and I don't know. I feel like it could go either way with David. We haven't seen him as HOH before, so
yeah,
we haven't seen him in week 3 before. So.
Very, very true. Very valid point. Very valid point.
That is so true.
I'm just so upset with him. You have no idea.
Oh, I know. I mean, I was so excited, and I feel like I still feel like Memphis was a dick to him, and I feel like he doesn't have anything to prove in the sense of like being on the show. There's no reason for him not to be there because he did get screwed. I mean, whatever. No, yeah, he didn't play very well in his season, obviously not, and he didn't play well in that competition. But that was a crapshoot, and so I just don't feel like he has anything to necessarily prove to be on the show. Now he needs, but now it's like, okay, you've been here for a little while. You're clearly not, you're not getting stuff. But I will say he did. So Danny last night on the feeds, Danny asked David who he would put up or whatever if he won HOH. And he went right back to her and was like, who would you put up? Like, you know, he didn't answer. No, I think that was a good thing because she's been going around asking everybody who they're going to put up so she can like mentally keep tabs. And so she can go and like tell whoever he says that he would put him up. And so I think that was I mean, maybe he's hopefully catching on.
I'm not gonna give up hope on him because I think he could be catching on. And I'm hoping, look, if he's deciding who he should go with versus Tyler and Cody, which honestly, I don't even know if they would take him.
They will if he wins HOH.
Oh, yeah. But his best chance still to go far in the game and actually play the game is with Devon and Bailey. I truly do think that. I don't think Tyler and Cody do not really care about him. They're just keeping him around. They're just keeping him as a vote. If there is a floater in the house right now, it is David. Mm-hmm. And he's playing into that. So it's like if he is actually going to do something, he should make up with Davon and make up with Bailey and really figure out, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's already been blown up. We know that they have these numbers. We know that this is going on. We're not in, as they not to make another Survivor reference, but as they say,
Bobby loves Survivor, you guys. He's obsessed with Survivor.
There's always someone on the bottom of the alliance.
Yeah.
He has to realize that he's on the bottom of the alliance. At this point, Davon and Bailey also have to realize they're on the bottom of the alliance. So that's when you jump ship and go make a new alliance with some other people.
Yeah. And, people are prime for picking. Kevin, Kaser, that's 5 people right there, They probably pull Enzo. I bet, that's what I think everybody is sort of clamoring for, especially, now that we're all in quarantine and everything. We want to see game. We want to see this house blow up. We want to see what can happen.
I want to see a fight. I want to see some tears. I want some backstabbing going on. That's what we need.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, Mary Minnesota says that she thinks David deserves to be in a regular season and not all stars. Probably true.
He will be on Big Brother again after this.
Yeah,
season.
No, he will not. But I want to know.
Challenge. I don't know if
yeah, you go on the challenge. We'll love to see him on the challenge. So I want to ask you guys right now at this moment, who is in the best spot game wise? Who do you guys think is in the best spot?
Ian.
Okay. Why?
Totally under the radar. I mean, he was in maybe 30 seconds of tonight's episode too, talking to Christmas on the hammock. I mean, he's got his, final 2 deal with the hammock again. And I think, I understand. But I think he's playing a really good game. He's injecting himself just enough. And Kaysar is outwardly methodical, but Ian is internally methodical. And I feel like he's plotting. He's remembering what people are doing. He's seeing who's talking to who. And he's kind of built a web in his head of, how the house is really, really laid out, who's pulling the strings. Yeah. So I think he's in a really good spot.
Yeah. I think that, I think that's all true. Bobby, what do you think?
Not to be, a copy machine, but I have to say Ian too. And I was going to say Danny, but I have to say Ian for the sheer fact that no one thinks he's a threat.
Yeah.
Right.
No one's looking at him as a threat, even though he is. And Danny, they are still looking at as a threat.
Right. With Ian, it is really interesting because he is a former winner. He's one of 2 former winners in the house. And you're right. People are really just not looking at him. He's not really, and he hasn't frankly really taken a side either, which is shocking too, because normally if people are cocooned, you'd think that they would be, it would be easier for them to stay safe. Whereas Ian sort of is again, on the fringe, like I said before. It seems like anybody could take him. Anyone could, no one's mad at him, I don't know. I will say that, so Franzel said this week on the live feeds that she thinks she's Ian's number 1, Christmas's number 1, Danny's number 1, and Cody's number 1. Do you guys think that's true?
No.
I don't agree, but I will say, look, I've never said that Nicole didn't play a good game. I just said she played a different game than Janelle. You should never sleep on Nicole Franzo because she will win when she needs to.
Right.
So
or manipulate.
She's gonna go far unless something crazy happens, or unless someone with some sense, like Kaser, gets HOH and is like, let's get this girl out of here.
But do you think that do you think that Nicole would be on, so say Kaser wins HOH this week. Do you think Nicole is on his radar, or do you think that it would be Tyler and Cody? That's who I would think, but
probably, but I think he would throw her in the mix before he threw Danny in the mix.
Yes, probably. Yes, definitely true. I think Nicole, a lot of people, like I said, I've said this on this show before too. I loved Nicole in season 16, but it's so funny how so many people on Twitter dislike her. And I don't know why it makes me laugh because it's not nice, but because I really do feel like she is a good player. And I think that no matter what, like she is trying to win the game. She might be, you might hate her because of the way she acts or whatever, but she is playing to win. There's no question about that. And she downplays herself constantly. She flies under the radar, just kind of like Ian. I mean, a little bit. So I don't know. I think I feel like, this was a big win for her getting out Janelle, not only because they were outwardly, awful to people. I think it was huge for Danny, but that's what I said in the beginning of this. Tyler got out Janelle. He was the one that took out Janelle. And yes, maybe that's a huge selling point for if he gets to the final two. But the problem is that Janelle getting out wasn't necessarily the best thing for Tyler's game. Because it's painting a bigger target on his back with Janelle gone. And, Nicole and Danny, it was really Nicole and Danny that were fueling all this. So to me, I feel like he was sort of doing their bidding. I mean, yes, he was doing it for the alliance, but I feel like Cody might be a little blinded by that, but Enzo said it. Enzo was like, I don't think this is the right move. I don't think that we should, I don't think getting out Janelle is the right move for my game. And he's right. It's only right, seriously, I think, for Nicole and Danny.
I don't think Tyler goes far in this game. Look, it could happen. I definitely don't think he's winning.
Yeah.
I don't think, but he's not going to go far because who's his number?
Casey.
One.
You mean in this game or in the last game?
In this game, who's going to take him to the end? Cody's not taking Tyler to the end.
No.
Yeah.
Christmas is not. David, I guess, maybe. No, you're right. I don't think anyone would be taking Tyler to the end.
David to the end, okay?
Big brother savant David Alexander.
And I think Tyler probably realized that was not the move he should have made. He is also going to have to realize, like I said, where he falls in the alliance. He's not at the top. They're letting him believe he's at the top because he was the HOH.
Right, right.
Cody is going to keep Enzo and Nicole before he keeps Tyler.
Yeah.
Danny is not going to be loyal to Tyler.
I do wonder what's going to happen with Cody in Memphis, because even Cody last night on the broadcast said, I am in a final two deal with Memphis, but I don't trust him still. I'm like, wait, what? By the way, how dumb was it that they actually thought that Memphis was so bad at that game that they actually thought he threw it and then he won? Like, that was insane. Like, that's when I was like, Janelle, come on. Like, we've got to pull this together, Yeah.
I don't know. Memphis is a very interesting character.
Very.
Like, one of you guys said how, when the HOH went to his head, he just seemed to turn into a different person. And then after that turned into another different person. So I don't know what to think about him. So
no, I don't either. I think he's not. I mean, I think he is a bigger physical threat than people are probably giving him credit for, especially if they think, which is good for him, even though he didn't mean to do this, but he was so bad they thought he was throwing it and he still won his competition. I just think that they're overlooking him a little bit too, because they don't think he's like that. He's not a very good social player. So They're not thinking that he's that threatening, but he won 2 comps back to back, I mean, in his HOH and his POV, and those were vastly different games.
Yeah.
And they were a mental and a physical comp. So I don't know. I think that they should watch out for him. Like, again, I don't think he's strategic necessarily, but I do think that they're going to have to like backdoor him, I think. Mark, what do you think?
I agree. No, I think, I mean, you hit every point. He's a shapeshifter. He can play. I think one of his advantages is he can play multiple games almost simultaneously. It's kind of amazing. I think there were the rumors of pre-gaming and stuff, and I think he definitely learned a lot from Dan, at least during their season together. Mm-hmm. And I could see like little pieces of Dan's game in his, and how he's been acting. But yeah, I think he might have been a bigger actual threat than Janelle and Kaser put together, and no one looked at him.
For sure.
All right, let's move on to. I like to end the show with final thoughts. Bobby, what? First of all, we ask all of our guests on the show, who do you think is going to win it all at this point, or who do you think can take it all the way?
If I'm going to say final two, I'm going to say final two. I think Ian and Danny are going to be sitting on. In the house on finale night. There might be a third person there. I don't know if there'll be 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3, but I see those two sitting in the house on finale night.
That's pretty good. So what do you hope happens this week?
What I hope happens is one of the people that I like actually win the story.
So who do you like? Tell everybody who you like.
Win comps. And I'm just like,
well, who do you like? Tell everybody who you like.
I love Davon. I love her as a person. I think her second time playing the game was much better than the first time playing the game.
And I think she's playing. I will say, I think she's progressed every time. She's playing a much better game this time than she did before, and obviously the first time.
Bailey, we actually get to see her play the game instead of falling in love. Which shout out to Love. Like
Love Island starting next week.
We're just like a walking advertiser for CBS.
Shout out to Love. But, it's great to see her actually play the game, and I actually think that she's playing a good game. But like I said, I really would love one of them or Ian to win HOH. Any of those three would be great. And as much as the internet is hating on Danny right now, probably I still really like Danny as a player. Yeah. So I'm still kind of rooting for her, even if she's going against some people that I like. It's difficult. So that's what I hope happens. But I don't want to see Cody win HOH. I don't want to see Memphis win HOH. No. I'm looking for Kaser, Ian, Bailey, or Davon. Can one of the four, please?
I know, really. I mean, let's
manifest. Let me text my cousin Caitlin.
Yeah, please.
Caitlin Herman. Yeah. Mark, final thoughts?
Oh, I hope KSR wins HOH this week. I think that's going to be the best thing. I think Christmas is playing pretty under the radar.
You did that on purpose. You did that on purpose.
Sorry. Yes, I did. So Christmas, I think she's playing a pretty good game right now too.
I agree.
She's playing multiple sides, and literally no one sees her as a threat. And
she can walk now, so she's playing a good.
She can actually win comps without people blatantly throwing them to her.
Like if Sam comes back and is not a robot, she's playing a great game now.
Yeah.
No kidding. I agree with you. I think there's these people that we're overlooking that we're not seeing in these episodes, like the Christmas and Ian and, even before tonight, really Davon and Bailey weren't really seen. And it's like, those are the people that are going to probably go far. Like it just, I don't know. I mean, at least I hope so. Cause I think it will be more interesting now. I mean, I hate to see Janelle leave for sure, but my final thought is just that I think it will be more interesting because I think we will see cracks in these big alliances now, and who's loyal to who and where they stand and everything. I'm hoping that starts to happen and that people start really having to rely on their strategy rather than like just sitting around, watching each other twiddle each other's thumbs or something. I don't know. All right. Well, you guys, that's our show. Once again, if you don't want to miss a moment, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which we're on right now, and also hit that notification bell so you know when you can take part in our live episodes. Subscribe and follow on Spotify and Apple Podcasts by searching Outside the House in the search bar. Make sure to follow the show on Instagram @From Outside the House and on Twitter @OutsideBBHouse. And our personal socials are plastered all over those. We will see you next Thursday right after the eviction. Bobby, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Bobby.
You are awesome. You are such a fan. I love talking to you. We both do, and we just really appreciate you coming in at the last minute and stepping up for us. So be sure to go follow Bobby on Instagram @Mr. Preston Willis. That's
right there, Mr. Preston Willis.
Right there. It's right
there. Shout out to Love.
Yeah, shout out to Love. That's what we're going to call this episode. All right, thanks, guys, for being here. We'll see you all next Thursday from outside the Big Brother house. This has been Outside the House. And remember, be kind. Good night.
Night, everyone.